Hey, what's up, guys? So we're gonna give this one another try. I tried to stream this the other day and we had some technical problems. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be setting up the sprite animations and transitions for our little ninja guy here. So we've got a basic scene. We can jump, we can walk/run, we can attack, come over here to this fence, and we've got a climb animation. We can jump attack, and I think that's it. All right, let's get started here. I'm gonna go ahead and delete my ninja. Then we're gonna go over to our project, make this bigger, and we're going to get rid, oh, come on, Unity. We're going to get rid of these animations. Yes, delete. All right. So first thing is I'll show you the environment that I have set up here. It's pretty simple. I've got these, let's see. I went and got some assets from Unity3D.com. Come on. I have a slow internet and a slow workstation. Got a new processor coming, so hopefully it'll fix some of these issues. All right, so Unity3D, you can go over to freebies, but there's a lot of other art in here that you can use for your games. Oh, look like there's some new ones, huh? Pirates, dinosaurs, zombies, and they're reasonably priced, I think, like around 15 bucks. I've already bought a couple of them for the space game that we saw a couple streams ago. For this, we'll just go into freebies, and there's lots of freebies in here for you guys. Santa Claus, a cute girl, there's a jack-o'-lantern guy. There's the ninja. This is the ninja sprites we're using today. A bunch of other stuff, so there's characters, tile sets. I'm using the graveyard tile set, most of it. And then for the fence and the spikes, I also got this sci-fi tool set here. So you can come here and grab this stuff, all free. You don't have to give credit. The license is pretty flexible. Also some UI stuff here, some buttons, some other miscellaneous stuff here. If you want to make like a jelly puzzle game, you can do that. And then these characters, they're pretty nice. They're pretty complete. All right, so this one, I'll go ahead and just show you. There's, find my folder here. Sprites, ninja. Now the nice thing about these assets are the designer has already broken them up into individual frames, individual files, which is nice because that means you don't have to go in and actually use the sprite editor and try and crop them out yourself. So this is very handy. We've got attack, climb, we've got a dead animation. There's one for glide. Oh, that's kind of neat. Maybe at a later time we'll implement this guy. I'm not going to do that this time. We've got our idle, run, jump throw, jump attack, a slide. That would be a fun one to implement. What else? That's about it. Throw. All right, so let's just start out. We're going to do idle, jump, walk, attack, jump attack, and a climb. So let's start off by getting our idle set up. We'll find our idle. Got idle 000 through 009. All right, so we've got about 10 frames of animation. I think they all have 10 frames of animation. So what you do, just highlight those, drag them over, plop them into the hierarchy, and let's just, already got a folder set up for animation, so we'll call this idle. And of course, I've just got one animations folder here. The way you organize things may be different, so it's really up to you, especially if you have multiple characters or multiple player objects, each with their own animations. You might want to do some better organization, but for now, all into one folder. So idle for this animation. And then we'll just rename this to ninja. All right, ninja, and then go over to the sorting layer, and I've already set up some layers here: background, midground, foreground, which is where I'll put the ninja. And this is a big ass ninja. Let's go over here to scale, and we'll just do 0.5. Then we need to move this guy down. Right there is good enough. Negative 2.69, I think is what it should be. All right, go there. Now, if we were to play this, nothing would happen. Well, our animation plays, but nothing else will happen. You can kind of see that there. Let's zoom it in just a little bit. Oops. Oh, come on. There we go. So you can see he's kind of like nodding. Over here in our animation. So our animation tab. Now, if you don't have this tab open, you're going to need two of them: animation and animator. And we'll come over back to animator in a minute. If you don't have these tabs open, go up to the window menu, and you can find animation here and the animator down here. So just open those up because you'll need both of them. And they might look complicated at first, but they're really not. They're pretty simple. So let's see, we're in animation. So each one of these is our frames, and there's 10 of them. And then over here are the samples. This is the frames per second, essentially. So right now it's 12, and you can see it looks pretty good. Let's bump this guy up to like 100. See what that awesome. Looks like he's had too much coffee. All right. Let's put this back to 12 because that was good. All right, yeah, that's good. And we'll set the scale back to 1. There we go. All right, so that's looking good. But the problem is now we don't have any movement. We don't have any other animations. So we'll go ahead and stop. Make sure that's back to 12. Okay. Click on Ninja. We need to do a couple things here. First, we will add a rigid body 2D because that's what we need to do so that we can have it interact with the physics engine. And then we're going to add a box collider 2D that we can detect collisions. And that's pretty much all we need for that. Okay, and then I went ahead and downloaded or copied a player controller script from Unity3D.com. I just found one in one of their tutorials. I didn't want to spend the time to write my own. It's pretty good. Good enough for this demo. So we don't need to modify anything here, but there's a gravity modifier. Set your max speed, jump takeoff, and climb speed. I added that one trying to get it to work to make the character actually move up when he climbs, but I couldn't get it to work. So for now, we just have the climb animation, but it doesn't actually do anything. But no big deal. And actually, these don't really make much of a difference. I set this one to like 7,000 and it didn't do anything. So probably wouldn't recommend this player controller script. All right, so now we've got that. Let's make sure that it actually works. Play. And again, for some reason, this script is kind of wonky, so it always turns to the left. So if I go back here, yep, always to the left, even though I'm pressing right. I didn't really care about fixing that, so. Okay, so now we've got our player movement. Oh, we've got jump. Okay, good. Now we need some animations so we can move back and forth. Let's go ahead and set up our walk animation. And the way that we're going to do that is we'll highlight Ninja. Then come over to animation. And then over here in this drop down here, this is our list of clips or the animations, animation clips. We already have our idle animation clip. So we need to create a new one. Create a new one. Go back to our animations folder. Call this one walk. Okay, so now we've got a new walk animation clip. It's set to 60 samples. Let's change that to, I don't know, 32. Because actually these sprites are really set up for run, not really set up for walk. So let's find the run. Okay, here's a run. And there's 10 frames there. We'll just drag those frames up into the animator, or sorry, the animation. Okay. And let's drag our game scene right here. We'll hit play. There we go. So for some reason, you can't switch over where I have the game tab up here in the same pane as animation. You can't preview it and switch over to game view for some reason. I don't know why. But anyways, you can just drag your game view down here, hit play up here, and you can preview it down in the game window. This is our run, and let's set this to Sonic the Hedgehog speed. All right. Awesome. All right, let's set this back to 24. Yeah, that's all right. You set it to whatever you want, whatever feels good to you. This feels good enough to me. Okay, so we have our idle animation. We have our walk animation. Let's hit play. Let's see what happens. Oh, come on. Oh, there it is. All right, but we don't have any animation in our game view. So what we need to add in is a state transition, and this is where the animator comes in. So in the animator window, we've got our states. The first one and our default state is idle. And then we've got a couple other ones, any state, which we'll be using, and walk, which we just created. So the ones that we create will be in gray, and these are default ones that are added in by Unity. So from idle to walk, we need to set up a transition. So we'll do that by right-clicking on idle, make transition to walk. All right. Now we have to determine how we're going to make this transition happen. And we do that by clicking on the transition itself and then configuring the parameters. So in the parameters, we've got a couple things here. We have has exit time, which we're going to uncheck that. And this is because we are going to control the transition states with a list of conditions, which is down here. It's not going to be time-based. And then just to make sure that there's no weirdness, actually, you know what? I'll leave this on. I'll show you what that looks like. Let's come in here. We need to add a condition. And when we add a new condition, we get a drop down, but there's nothing in here. So we need to add a parameter. Over here in the side pane, we have parameters. Click the plus button here. We've got a couple options. There's a float, integer, a boolean, and a trigger. I'm going to show you most of these. There's really no right or wrong answer or choice when you're setting up your parameters. It just really depends on what it is you're trying to do and what you want to accomplish and what the easiest way to get that done would be. So I'm going to show you float for this one, and mostly because let's see, spelled it wrong. Velocity X. The player controller script that I downloaded is actually expecting a velocity X parameter, and it's already a float. But there's a good reason that you might want to float, and I'll go over that in a little bit. Okay, so we've got our velocity X parameter. It's a float. So let's go over back here to our conditions, and we click the drop down. Now you can see we have velocity X as an option that we can select. So when we select that, we get a greater than or less than option. So we'll choose greater than, and we'll leave this 0. So what this is saying is that anytime the parameter velocity X becomes greater than 0, we're going to transition to this walk animation. So let's see how that looks. Okay, there we go. So now we've got a walk animation left and right. Awesome. Okay, now let's stop moving. But now what's happening? Now the ninja's continuing to walk on its own, even though we're not pressing left or right keys. So to fix that, we need a transition that goes from walk back to idle. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to change has exit time, turn that off. And then we'll add a condition. Now, what do you think that condition is going to be? Well, it's going to be the opposite of the transition that got us into the walk condition, or to the walk animation, right? In this case, it's going to be velocity x is less than 0.01. Now, I'm just doing that because of the way that the input on the axis is work. It's not optimal, but it works. So less than 0.01. Then we're going to transition back to idle. Okay, so, oh, come on. What's happening? Unity's not happy. There we go. All right, walking. And then we stop. Now we're back at idle. Awesome. Now we can walk. Now, if you watch carefully, you can see when I stop right now, it kind of has like a weird delay. So it continues to play the animation and then it kind of stops. Kind of weird. Kind of like a slide. There we go. So as soon as I hit the button, you can see them like slide before the animation plays. Right now, yeah, see a little slide. Okay. So what that is, other than annoying, is it's a delay or a fixed duration. And so we need to turn that off. And that's the transition duration. How long it's going to take before it does the actual transition to the other animation. So we will turn off fixed duration, and then for good measure, we'll just set transition duration to 0. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing on the return from walk to idle. Okay, now we're walking. Now it stops and moves instantly. There you go, no more sliding. Okay. So that's pretty easy, right? Nothing too complicated here. So let's add in some more. Let's see here. We've got idle. We've got idle to walk. Walk back to idle. Idle to jump. So let's add in our jump animation. We'll go back to animation. Create a new clip. Back to animations. Call this jump. Back to our project, and we'll find our jump sprites. Jump. Drag them in. And let's set this at 12. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe we can make it a little faster. I mean, the animation is just kind of him bringing his leg up. And then he just stays there, and then pretty much is. So let's try 32. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. Now let's see. That's working. Back in our animator, we have a. Bring this up here, actually. We've got our jump. So now we need to go and make our transitions from idle. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Double transitions, huh? Okay. So from idle to jump, turn off has exit time. Remove our durations. Now we need to add a condition, but this time we don't really have anything we can use. So let's go back over here to parameters. We'll add in a new parameter, and this will be a Boolean, and it's called grounded. So again, grounded is another parameter that player control script is expecting. You can name these whatever you want. Normally I wouldn't name them like this, but this is the way that script is handling it, so that's the way we'll do it for now. Okay, so we want to go from idle to jump when the grounded parameter is false. So the way that the grounded parameter works is anytime the player is on the ground or is on a collision with something else, then it's grounded. And then when we hit the jump button, the player moves up. It's no longer colliding with anything, And so grounded will be set to false, and in that case, that means we're jumping, right? And what do you think the return condition will be? Right, the opposite. So grounded is true. Awesome. Let's see how that works. Walk. Jump. Awesome. Okay. Now, as we're going through and making these state changes, you can see up here in the Animator window what's happening. So right now we're at idle, and this bar here is the progress through the animation frames. So every time it gets to the end, that's playing the last frame, then it starts over with the first frame. Now let's see what happens. See the jump? First of all, look up here on the jump animation, what's happening. It's playing back and forth. It's looping. And then if you look at the animation down here, while the ninja is in the air, it's just kind of like doing a weird spacewalk thing. We don't want that. So we just want the jump animation to play one time, right? So what we're going to do to fix that is over here in our assets manager, we're going to click on our animations folder and we're going to find our jump animation. And then in the inspector, we're going to change loop time. We're going to uncheck that. So now it'll only play one time. Back to our game view and we'll hit play. And there it is. It only plays one time. Now for some reason up here on the jump state, it's still showing that it's looping, even though the actual frames in the game view show otherwise. Okay. So that's set up. So now we've got jump. Actually, let's go back to play and okay, so there's the jump while we're walking, but what's happening is, yes, we are jumping, but as we're jumping, we are playing the walk animation, which looks kind of funky, and you can keep it in there if it looks okay to you, but we already know that we have a jump animation with the correct sprites, so let's fix that. So we need to make a state transition from walk, so while the character is walking, and we need to switch it over to jump. So make transition to jump. Exit time, move duration, and our conditions for this are going to be velocity x is greater than 0, and grounded is false. Then we'll make a transition going back. Turn this off. Remove our fixed duration. And we will set the return condition from jump back to walk. Velocity x is greater than 0. That's our standard walk condition. And grounded. Oh. Unity froze up. There we go. Froze up again. Come on. There we go. Grounded is false. No, we want grounded is true because they are back on the ground and they're still trying to walk. So we go back to walk. Make sure I got this one. Grounded is false. Okay, that's right. All right, so that's what we need for that guy. So let's test it out. We're walking. Nah, we're jumping. All right, awesome. Jump. There we go. Back to walk. As soon as we hit the ground, back to walking, jump, jump animation. Awesome. Perfect. There is that. All right, what's the next one on the list? We've got our idle jump, jump to idle, walk, jump. Let's do attack. Let's do our attack animation now. So go back to the animation tab. We'll add a new clip. Of course, what do you think we'll call this one? Attack. All right. So back in our project, go into our sprites and Find the attack. Yep, that's this guy here. 10. Drag him in. And let's check that out. Preview. Pretty fast. Might be appropriate. Let's put it to 12. Ooh, that's pretty slow. Try 32. Feels about right. Okay, so we'll leave it on 32. Okay, so to get from idle out of here to attack. Okay, we've got our transition here. We'll turn that off. Condition 0. Okay, we need a new condition, but again, we need a new parameter. This time, we're going to set up a trigger parameter. And we'll call this attack. All right. So the way that a trigger parameter works is that it's just triggered one time. That's it. It's kind of like an event, if you will. So our condition will be when the attack trigger is fired off. And there's no parameters for this because it's just when it happens, it happens. Okay. Let's go and let's test this out. Uh-oh. We've got to turn our trigger off. There we go. Try that again. All right, there we go. Oh, I don't know what's happening there. Oh, I know why. Because I'm clicking back at the game view. So normally I would press Control, but I'm clicking with the left mouse button, and that is also the fire button, which is what I have the script set up to do to trigger the attack animation. Okay, so this is correct. I'm attacking, but it's still attacking. It won't stop attacking. That's a problem. Let's make a transition back to idle. And this time we'll leave has exit time. Leave that on there. Okay? Because what we want to happen is as soon as the animation stops playing, we want it to go back to the idle state, the idle animation state. The problem is this is going to loop, so we need to go and turn looping off. So again, go back to the animations folder in the assets manager, and we'll find attack. Uncheck loop time. That should fix that for us. Go back to game preview. Okay, now I'm pressing the attack button. Awesome. I'm moving around. Okay, from idle to attack. That looks pretty good. Only attacks once and goes back to idle, and you can see everything that's happening in this animator window. So attack button, attack plays, and then it goes back to idle. Okay, great. But as you saw what I was doing, I was moving around and trying to attack. And I don't know any ninja that has to stop before they can attack, right? So we want to be able to attack while we're running. So let's do that. Let's see. This is going to get kind of messy. But we'll make a transition from walk to attack. Turn these off. And we'll set up our conditions. Velocity X is greater than 0. And of course, attack is triggered. And then we'll make a transition. Actually, let's leave that out for now. Let's see what happens. Okay. Looks good. So we don't really need a... Oh, Unity froze again. There we go. I've got a new CPU coming in a couple days, so hopefully this will be a lot better for me. All right, walking, attacking. It's going back to the idle animation, and you can kind of see that if you pay attention carefully. And then it's going back to walk. So let's go ahead and actually make the transition back to walk. As exit time. Try that. No. So we'll need to add in our condition, and that's fine. So velocity x is greater than 0. Try this. There we go. Let's remove has exit time because we have a condition in here. Okay, that's better, but also worse. So what's happening now is nothing is happening. Okay, we're ending up going back to walk. This is the dominant state, if you will. So what we need to do is we need to set the transitions. And what we need to do is set the transition interruption. So when we attack, while we're running or walking, we want to interrupt the walk animation, because what happens is the walk animation will finish playing to the last frame, and then it will make the transition to attack. And that's not really what we want, especially if they started the walk at frame 0 and then they pressed attack. They'd have to wait for those 10 frames before we get the attack animation. So we'll change the interruption source to current state, then next, and we'll leave ordered interrupt as it is. Oops. And we'll play. Okay, now we are walking, running, and still nothing. See what happened. Maybe an issue. It has exit time on. All right. So that's good enough. So now we have our walk and attack, and we also want to be able to attack while we're jumping. So we'll make a transition from jump to attack. And because we want to interrupt the, oops, actually, sorry about that, that's not correct. We actually have animation for a jump attack. Yeah, here we go. Jump attack. All those. Okay, so let's go back to animation. We'll actually create a new animation clip. Call this jump attack. And then we'll drag our frames. And again, let's preview. Not bad, but 32. That's probably more like it. Okay, so now we have a new state, jump attack. Now let's go from jump to jump attack. In this case, turn off has exit time. And we want to change the interruption so that it interrupts our jump animation and plays the attack. And in this case, grounded is false and attack is triggered. We'll just make the transition back. Duration. See how that works out. Okay, so jump. And we're having some weird issues here. So, oh, you know what? Let's try grounded is false. Sure. Grounded is false. Okay. Let's try that. What is happening? Turn that off. You know what we also forgot to do was change the looping Don't want to loop our attack. Go back to animations, jump attack, turn off our loop time. See how that works. All right, what's happening? Rounded as false, so yes, we're jumping and attack. Interrupt. Time. Interesting. Let's delete this return transition, see what happens. There we go. So play the animation, it'll look correct. Just the return that's having a problem. Not returning. Just turn on has exit time. Let's try that. Okay. So now the issue is how we'll just leave the duration settings alone. But grounded is false. Try that. There we go. All right. Pretty sure that's what we had last time, but it wasn't working. I don't know. I've seen some weird issues with Unity, especially the last time I tried to demo this. So now we're jumping and we're attacking. So let's run, jump, attack. Run, jump, attack. All right, we're doing pretty good. Okay, so this looks kind of complicated if you're looking at the animator window here, but it helps if you have like a map. I mean, this is obviously a map here, but if it starts to add more and more states to it, and it can get really confusing. So make sure you have some documentation to help you out, just to make sense of everything that's happening here. And then of course, you can always play around with the parameters and the animation window and preview them in the game view just to see what's going on.